Hey guys. So recently I was at Walmart in the toy section and they have this big truck. It's black and in white text, like covering half of it, it says 316. And that got me curious. I'm like, 316, like John 316? That seems a little too good to be true. Like, clearly, that's probably not what it means. And it was actually a wrestling toy, and it's themed for Steve Austin, the wrestler. And if you're familiar with him, you'll know that he is known for wearing Austin 316. And so I was curious what that meant. Maybe 316 means John 316, like maybe he's promoting the Bible. Maybe. So I hardly know anything about wrestling, so I had to look into it just out of curiosity. So I guess back in the 90s, Steve Austin was fighting a Christian wrestler, and he was mocking him, saying, Austin 316 says, I'm gonna kick your... And so that's the origin of why that's his like slogan. Austin 316 is he's mocking Christianity, he's mocking God. And it's all over children's toys, and it's like, I mean, if you guys don't know that and you're buying these Austin 316 toys and merchandise for your kids and you're Christian, I advise that you be careful with that and that you stay away from that, because that's mocking God. It's an abomination, really. That's just my thoughts on it. It's like, at first it was cool to see 316, right there all over children's merchandise, and then it's like, oh, but it's actually not promoting God, it's mocking him. And that's really sad. That, and the fact that so many people probably know 316 because of that, as opposed to knowing it because it's, John 316. There's probably a lot of people that don't even know John 316 that know Austin 316. Isn't that kind of crazy? Like, that's sad. Yeah, I mean, we can pray for Steve Austin, that he would be saved, and of course anyone else who loves mocking God. It's a lot of people, but they need prayed for. We need to show them love, and there's no better way to love someone than to pray for them. Love your enemies. Yeah, that's about all I wanted to say. I'm just be careful. If you're someone who buys this kind of thing, Austin 316 stuff, Steve Austin merchandise, or if you buy it for your kid, I would just be careful with that, because it's mocking God, and that's not great. But yeah, thank you guys. God bless.
You sang Austin 316.
Well, what happened was, it was a tournament style pay-per-view called King of the Ring. Whoever wins King of the Ring is usually going to get a little bit of a push.
Sure.
So, they had decided, I was going to be the guy that's going to get that push. In the first match of that night, I was wrestling Mark Merrow. He did this kind of fancy move, and he ended up kicking me in my mouth and split my top lip wide open. Well, they'd take me to the hospital to get stitched up. So while I'm gone, getting about 14, 16 stitches in my upper lip, Jake Roberts was, he's going to be my next opponent. And he had kind of mentioned, that he needed God to help him through this. It's kind of religious-based promo. It's where he was, at that stage in his life.
Yes.
As soon as I stepped out of the ambulance coming back, I just had a pair of shorts on. I had my gear on and everything. And Michael Hayes comes up to me and he goes, hey, I just want to let you know, when you were gone, Jake cut a promo on you. I said, well, what'd he say? And he kind of told me words to the effect of what he said. And I said, oh, as soon as he said that, Austin 316 popped into my mind, because back in the day, in the old football days, they always had the John 3:16 posters behind the the point after or the field goal attempt, right?
Yeah.
And I said, oh man, I got one for his ass. And so I just spun that thing together, and we went out there. I wrestled Jake. It was a short match because his ribs had been injured, and we didn't want to injure my lip anymore. Short match. Go over there to do the promo with the guy that told me about the promo, Michael Hayes. And I just let it loose. Pretty much an ad lib. One of the things when you're on the fly and just gold starts happening, right? And I said, Austin 3:16 says I just whipped your ass. And then as I kept on, Vince was doing the announcing. I knew I needed a button on the end of that promo. And something I just pulled out of thin air, I'll say that.
Yeah.
I just pulled out of thin air, and that's the bottom line because Stone Cold said so. So I got 2 trademarks at I hit 2 grand slams at 2 at-bats at an event I was never supposed to win. So, it was just something that I capitalized on. The timing was right, I was right, and I was ready. So magic happened that night.
And so then it just organically, as we say, right?
Yes.
Just gained steam where fans started making T-shirts, or did the Wrestling Federation make the T-shirts up?
Well, that was a funny thing. When I'd come in, Mark Henry, Mick Foley, Vader, so many guys were starting their debut by the time I came in.
Yeah.
Well, I was coming in from, a torn tricep in WCW, a little bit of a stay in ECW, and I didn't have a really good look. I didn't have this complete package that I had, now
or today,
back then.
Yes,
Yeah,
today, Steve.
So I was a ragamuffin. They didn't see no money in me. And one of the guys that ran the merchandise, Jimmy Miranda, sweetheart of a guy, and I'd always be sitting in the bleachers waiting on the show to start, and I'd see Jimmy talking to everybody about the shirts. And I said, Jimmy, the office ever got any T-shirt ideas for me? Nope, not yet, Steven. After that Austin 3:16 promo, I was sitting there in the stands one day, and Jimmy came up to me and he goes, Steven, the office finally has a T-shirt. They want to do a T-shirt for you. Got any ideas? I'll use correct language.
Yes,
I said,
sir.
you dang right I do. I said, put a shirt, put in Austin 3:16 on the front, put a skull in the back, and carve in Stone Cold. I said, there's your shirt. So they produced a shirt, and it was the #1 selling shirt in the history of the business.
I imagine so.
The ragamuffin was marketable.
Stone Cold.
The
Steve
best
Austin.
shirt of all time.
Yeah.
The best shirt ever.
And Rich,
wore that shirt till it disintegrated.
I still have my original shirt that I bought in Pittsburgh's Civic Arena in 1997. I still have that shirt at home. I mean, it's iconic. And Rich, what Steve said about his 2 promos, that's like scoring 5 touchdowns in a game and throwing 7 touchdowns in a game in the same game. What he did in that one promo, it's legendary.
Do you think it changed wrestling, Steve, to be honest? Because that kind of ushered in the Attitude Era.
Well, no, maybe the Attitude Era was kind of already. I've always considered, people in that business to have attitudes anyway, but I guess it defined an era, and then it became that.